In this video, we're going to show you how to adjust the audio and video settings in Webex meetings. All right, let's get this party started. So there's obviously several ways that one can join their Webex meeting. You can have it configured through your Outlook client. You can have the Cisco Webex Meetings app. You can go through Cisco Webex Teams. There's just an infinite number of ways that one could join. So what I'm going to cover is once you've already established your preference of joining, the very first screen that populates prior to joining the meeting contains the audio and video settings. So we're going to cover from that point forward, making however you choose to join irrelevant. This will all apply. So I'm going to be using Cisco Webex Meetings, the desktop app. This is the free version. We'll later cover the differences between the enterprise licensed version and the free. For now, we'll cover the free. I'm going to just start a meeting, which will prompt me to my personal meeting. This is the page in which I was referring to. This will be presented regardless of how you join or start your meetings. And this is what we're going to focus on because this is often overlooked and creates several issues as a result of being overlooked. So this initial splash page is almost like an audio-video lobby pre-check, if you will, prior to joining your Webex meetings. It will often contain your mute, unmute toggle, your video start and stop, and then the final button to join. And the overlooked part is right at the bottom. So we'll actually start with the bottom center. If we click this in the free version, it'll give the option to use computer for audio or don't connect to audio. So what does that mean? That means the computer audio will use the built-in microphone or external microphone that is connected to your device, and it will use the built-in speakers or the connected speakers that are connected to the device as well. So your input and output for the sound will go 100% through the meeting and the device you're using. The don't connect to audio, why would we use that? Well, sometimes you may have a personal device like a tablet or a laptop, and you've entered a large room where there's a Cisco Webex video endpoint, like a Cisco Webex board or a room kit. And there's a presentation going on. The meeting audio and sound is handled strictly through the room. But let's say you're sitting in the back of the room and are unable to actually make out what's on the screen. In that case, you can hit Do Not Connect to Audio and start your meeting. It will then turn your personal device into a secondary display of the main meeting content. So whatever is being showed on the main screen will be displayed on your screen. The reason you don't want your audio on in addition to the room audio is they will actually feed into each other and create an audible loop sounding like an echo. Nobody wants that. But it is a good feature to have Do Not Connect Audio in case you're joining a conference room or a meeting that has the actual video endpoint, or perhaps you're having a meeting with your teammates and you're collaborating and just one person is going to join from their device. That one device will present the audio. Or maybe even you all have your laptops, everyone connects with Do Not Connect to Audio. One individual on an enterprise license, which we'll cover, may say, call me back and use a conference room. We'll get to that later on. For now, the most common used, regardless if you have other options, is definitely going to be use computer for audio. That will also include any headsets or USB connected devices you have as well. So we'll go ahead and choose that. The next equally important option is the bottom right, which is the settings that pertain to these settings. So if we click that, it says, all right, for the speaker, what do you want? What do you want to use for your microphone? And then additionally, a camera. So for the speaker, if I click this, I have several. I can use my internal computers. I can use my monitor's built-in audio, the microphone that I'm actually using, and then the system settings, which I've predetermined or you would have preset in your configuration of the computer. So I'm going to use that. For me, I know what it is, so it does no harm to say I know for sure this is it. And then it will also allow you to test. I'm hearing audio, so I can confirm that it's there. I can adjust here the volume that's outputted to that speaker as well. I tend to leave that at full volume, and then I adjust the actual meeting volume through my computer's setting for the speaker output. The microphone, same thing. It'll present all the different microphones, the internal computers, your webcam if you have one, and then any additional system settings or USB peripheral devices will all be present there. In this case, I'm going to use the microphone. And then this will also give a signal meter notifying, hey, we are indeed getting sound, so that you can verify the one you're using is the correct one for your meeting. There's an option to automatically adjust volume. So if you have an additional peripheral microphone like a USB or a 3.5 microphone and you just want to plug and play, perhaps you haven't adjusted the gain, you haven't adjusted any settings, maybe you have no intentions of doing so, automatically adjust volume will automatically scan the volume and measure for when you're going too high or perhaps when you're not high enough, and it will try to balance that out. It's not 100% perfect, but it is an option to help balance, to make sure that you're heard clearly within the meeting. The camera. This will show you any options that your computer currently has to present your video. If you have a laptop, it'll show the internal laptop webcam. If you have a laptop and hook in a USB webcam, in addition to that, it'll present both. This will allow you to choose. Most laptops will present the built-in webcam by default. So if you have upgraded that with a USB webcam, in my case, I use the Logitech webcam, the C930E. I just want to make sure that's there. And this is actually a point of contention from this point on, is how do we now set these settings in? How do we lock them in and get ready to join the meeting? There is no longer a button to confirm these settings. There is no longer a button to proceed from this screen. You simply have to click outside of it, and it will bring you back. Those settings are now locked in. In the bottom right, as we're going through, it will rotate the actual options. So Logitech webcam, and it will go to the microphone. So that way you do get a confirmation in that regard. Now, the last step before actually entering and joining the meeting is your two toggle buttons mentioned in the beginning of the video. The first one is your mute button. You can actually join your meeting muted. So perhaps you're in a loud environment, your intention is just to join, observe, listen. You don't want to contribute, or maybe your environment's not ideal to contribute audio to that meeting. You can go ahead and toggle it. When a button is activated within Webex, it is telling you that it's on with color. So no color says that it's not currently toggled on or enabled. When there is color to the button, with the exception of the start, it's saying, hey, I'm enabled. So currently we see red on the microphone for mute, red on the video. That's saying right now if I was to join this meeting, I would join with my microphone muted and my video off. You can also verify that your video's off because you will have your logo by default present. If your video's on, it will show you the feed so that you can get a lipstick check before going in. You can make sure that what they're going to see is what you want them to see. So we can go ahead and toggle that button. It will tell me that I'm unmuted. And like I said, the color is removed. It turns to a grayscale format. That tells me my microphone is live, and upon joining this meeting, my audio will be heard. The next one is the video toggle. Upon pressing that, it will then enable the webcam that we've set. There I am. And again, that will turn gray, signifying, hey, this is now toggled on. It is enabled. From that point, we can choose to disable them and start the meeting. So I will click Start Meeting. And it will bring me into the meeting with the settings that I've preset. Again, we'll notice at the bottom, those buttons will be present in the meeting option bar. If I do not move my mouse for a period of seconds, that bar will fade, and then upon moving the mouse, it'll reappear. On the right side of the screen, we will have Participant. In terms of audio and video, the only settings pertaining to that is if you were the host of the meeting. Each person will be listed, and as you hover over them, the option to mute them will be present. If you are also the host of Enterprise and Licensed versions, you can right-click, and you will have options to enable, disable video. You can actually expel people. In terms of audio and video, that's pretty much all you need to know. The reasons you might do so is maybe someone's got a bunch of kids running in the background. I have 3. And they're working from home right now as well, doing their schoolwork. Maybe you don't want the noise of the children being present in the meeting. Maybe you're cooking or doing laundry and trying to have a meeting, and that participant that has that background noise is maybe feeding into the meeting, and you don't want that, so that you can have a clear, precise form of communication. You can just go ahead and mute that individual. One of the big ones lately is people don't have adequate internet connection, and they never realized it until they had to work from home. So maybe their video is causing some static image. Obviously, if one participant is experiencing that with their home connectivity, and they're then in your meeting, their poor signal is going to be dispersed through the meeting as well. That's equal for audio. So you do have the option to enable, disable participants' audio and video when they are joined to your meeting and you're the host. We'll close the participant panel for now. At the bottom, we will see the same buttons we saw prior to starting the meeting. We will have the mute toggle. I can turn that on or off. And that is your single point of muting. A lot of people will have the issue, or you may hear the issue, that someone was double muted, or even in some cases triple muted. This is because they have their headset connected, or they have the meeting called them, or they've called into the meeting with a phone, or in my case, an external microphone. They will have muted their meeting here, and then in addition to muting this, they will also mute their microphone, headset, or phone. Definitely not necessary. When joined in a Webex meeting, the only form of muting should take place in the meeting itself. The reason being is because no matter what device you're using for your audio, when you mute here, it's going to prevent any and all of that from being sent to the meeting, and the participants won't be able to hear it. If you do not mute here and perhaps mute your microphone, sometimes people have an additional microphone on their laptop, and it will pick that up and bring it in the meeting. Or perhaps they believe their headset's muted, but they hit the wrong button. It's definitely a point of issue. So I just want to clarify and take note of that now. Is the only place that one needs to mute, or in fact should be muting, is the actual mute button in the meeting itself. The only exception to this would be is if one was using the desktop, the mobile app for Cisco Webex. That has now an audio-only mode, which will present this mute button in a very large format on the center of the screen. And in that case, that would be your only point of muting. The video toggle, same thing. If I toggle that, I will be presented in the bottom screen for my self view. I can move that around. It presents options to adjust that. But that's just a toggle. Reason being is maybe someone enters your office in person. You don't want the disturbance to be involved in the meeting. So you just can simply mute yourself, shut off your video, handle the situation that has arisen in your office, and then resume your call. Additionally, on top of these quick meeting settings, like I said, they will come and go. You do have options when other participants are joined. In this case, I do not, but you will have a floating bar that allows you to change the view of your settings and the way the settings are viewed to the participants if you are the host. That will present in the upper right. Again, I have no participants as this is a demo, and this is also the free version. So I'm unable to show that at this time. However, they will be presented in the upper right. And upon hovering over with your mouse, everything within Cisco Webex will define what it is, as will those view buttons. Additionally, in the meeting window, you do have some of the options in the upper left. So one of which, like the audio, this is another good one, is if you have entered a room and you forgot to join without audio and now you have a bad echo, your audio options can be found up here in the menu bar, but they can also be found in the meeting shortcut bar. So for example, if we hit the more options, we will go ahead and see our speaker, microphone, camera options. If we click that, that will populate and bring up the first setting panel that we reviewed. So at this point, if I say, yeah, that was the wrong microphone or that's not the right speaker, I can go ahead and change that in the meeting on the fly. And again, the test option is present, so I can verify. I can just simply close that. The other equally important one is the audio connection. So if we did join with our computer and we now entered the room with the computer, perhaps you joined outside, you were in the call, and you were by yourself. And they said, hey, by the way, we got this conference room down the hall if you want to join us. If you pick up your laptop with the sound going through it and you enter that room, and there's already a device in that room handling the audio, you will get the audio loop feedback and a loud echo. So this is where you could come into the audio connection at this point. You could change the gear setting and adjust your settings, but then you can also disconnect your computer audio, and that will stop the echo. It will not interrupt your video feed, so at this point you could disconnect. In the enterprise or licensed versions that we'll review in a moment, it will actually give you the option to switch between other forms of audio. So, for example, it will give you the option to call in, have the meeting call you. Really helpful depending on how and where you're joining that meeting. In addition, if we click in there, you will have some other options that we'll review in a later video, different topics. Connect to device would probably be the only other one that applies to the actual audio video. Let's say you joined a room that has a Cisco Webex video endpoint and you don't want to use your personal device to house the meeting. You would simply just send it to the device in the room. As long as you're in the room with it, it will send the audio and video and have the meeting transfer right to that device. All of those options that we just reviewed are equally here as a nice shortcut. So either one would be the same. All right, so I will close out of this free version and I will then proceed to show you a licensed or enterprise version. All right, we are back with the licensed version of Cisco Webex Meetings. And as previously stated, there is not many differences in terms of audio and video, but there are a few, so we will review them now. Now, when you join, regardless of how you choose to do so, when you join or start your meeting, you will see this screen. I like to call this the audio-video lobby. It's kind of like a pre-setting check or adjustment panel prior to actually being emitted into the meeting. In terms of the settings for your devices and speaker, microphone, and your camera, this has remained untouched. It is exactly the same as the free version. However, the difference does come into play with your audio option. The drop-down that allows you to choose how your audio will be connected in terms of the meeting, they have added 2 additional options. So we still have our use computer for audio, That uses your computer's microphone or device connected to the computer and the computer's speakers or headset to join the meeting. And we still have the don't connect to audio option. However, with the licensed version, they have added 2 other forms of connectivity, one of which is call me, and then there is call in. Call me at, or call me, that may change depending on your organizational setting. They can change the nomenclature to whatever they choose. In this case, it's call me at. It pretty much allows you to specify a phone number to receive a phone call into the meeting. So you would join your meeting, and it will join with your device for video, and then it will say we're going to call you. So you can actually join the meeting, and then it will call you back at your pre-designated or preset number, and you can separate your audio and video. So you can have it call your desk phone. You could have it call your cell phone. And you can actually store these in here and label them as such. You can set a number for your office. You can set a number for working from home, and you can set a number for cell phone. Benefits to that is it takes the bandwidth of sending audio and video through one point of connection or one device like your computer, and it separates it. So the computer's handling just the video aspect, and then the audio aspect is being handled by your desk phone or your cell phone. So 2 devices sharing one form of functionality kind of lightens the load, opens your bandwidth, and some people just find it super convenient to have it just call them. It also offers a form of reliability. Just one point of note is you want to make sure that you check the number, as if you are working from home and have it calling your house phone for 1 week, then you return to the office. You want to make sure that when you get in the office, you don't have the meeting calling your house phone. You want to go ahead and change that. Call in. Call in will allow you to join the meeting, and then it will present a number for you to call along with an attendee ID to join the meeting. This is super beneficial in the event that there's some reliability issues, maybe there's an outage, or maybe there's a reason why everybody's working from home and Webex is experiencing some issues or slowness. One of the recommendations that will be made is to go ahead and use call in. And what this will do is it will take all the bandwidth of the audio video, and again, it will break it up. However, with call in, it will use Webex for the video portion. And the call-in portion, that bandwidth will be now handled by your carrier or whatever phone that you're calling in. So that opens up the bandwidth and the channels for Webex on their side. And it's also, some people just like having the call-in functionality. That's how they used to do it. Maybe they need to step away. They want the phone. Your choice. It's a good option, and it creates a good, reliable backup. One thing to note with call-in is when they specify a number for you to call in with, they do provide that attendee ID. And this is beneficial because when you join from your computer for video and then you join from a second device for audio, it will show you as 2 participants in a meeting instead of 1. However, if you do enter that attendee ID, it will synchronize in the meeting your phone number to who you are by joining on your computer. What I mean, or to further explain, is if I joined right now, it would say Scott is in the meeting. If I then called in and I did not enter my attendee ID, it would say Scott is in the meeting and call-in user is in the meeting. It would actually show me as 2 participants, one of which would be me from joining on the computer, and it would say so. The other one would just be a call-in user, because when I do not enter the attendee ID, I'm not identifying myself or associating myself with the computer that I've joined in. So, for example, if you have 20 participants in a meeting and all of them have done the call-in option but did not enter the attendee ID, it'll show as double the amount of participants. However, when you do use the attendee ID, it takes a few seconds, it'll actually associate the call-in user, and it will change call-in user to your name. So it'll just say Scott, and below me it will show a little phone showing that I've called in. So much better for the host of the meeting, much better for meeting analytics, gives more accurate reporting. But once we've made these settings, we can just, as previously stated, click outside of the box. There is our call-in, and then we will start the meeting. We still have our mute and the start-stop video. Remember, if they are colored, they are active or enabled. So right now, I am muted. It's lit up with color, so the mute toggle is enabled. I'm muted. And upon clicking it, it will tell me that I've unmuted myself. And the color is removed, and it goes to a grayscale format. That is still the same for video. I get a preview. And I can go ahead and shut those off and then join the meeting. And we'll see here when it says call me at, we can start the meeting. If I'm the host, it will immediately call me. This number is obviously fictional, but it will call that number. I can hit cancel. And then if I'm not the host, it may, depending on the organizational settings, wait for the host to join before it calls you. Again, this is all depending on the settings at play. We will also see that connect to audio option, because I've canceled it, is grayed out, meaning I have no audio right now. So if I click that, it'll bring back up my options, and it will tell me you are not connected to audio because I have canceled the call me at function. I can now change it to call in, and it will give me, here's the numbers to call, and it will give me an access code. This is what I was mentioning previously with an attendee ID. So it will actually say, call this number. It'll say enter your access code so that it knows what meeting. You will enter that meeting number or access code. It will say, if you have an attendee ID, enter it now and press pound. Otherwise, press pound to join the meeting. So this is where a lot of people just take the lazy path and they just press pound, jump in the meeting, and the poor host has to see them, and any IT individuals have to do analytics based off of a false representation of how many participants there are. And if an issue lies with someone calling in and they have not entered the attendee ID, you cannot troubleshoot further, as it will simply say call in user. So in this case, attendee ID is 15. I could just press that, press pound, and I'll be in. It will show me as one user. Let's say that failed, and so did my call me. I can still hit that more options, as we showed previously in the free version. This is still exactly the same. However, I can go to audio connection, and right in the meeting, I can change it to use computer for audio, connect it, and live, right in the middle of the meeting, it has connected me. I can switch back and forth as I need to, or as I see fit, without complication. And again, I can see that it's gray, so I know my microphone is currently on. I can mute myself. I also see that my video is not started because the stop video is lit up red. So I can go ahead and turn that on, and it will show me. Here I am in the bottom right in the self view. And in terms of the audio and video, that is the only difference between the licensed version and the free version. Remember that those settings can be adjusted on the fly, but the only real differences, again, is the addition of the call me at and call in, of which I can preset and save. But between the licensed and the free, that is primarily your difference in terms of audio and video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any recommendations for future videos or topics that you'd like to see, please leave a comment below. And of course, please subscribe for more content in the future. All right, stay well, and we'll see you on the next one.